Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to our messages for right now in this moment. It's good to see you. It's been a bit of a clamber to get to you or to get here recently. Lots going on. There's a shift that's happening to the channel because I'm shifting into. I was going to shut down the channel because I knew that it wasn't basically where it's ending as it is in its current form. I'm still going to be doing messages, but they're going to be in a slightly different form, in a different setting. And I'm not doing first kind of notice whilst I shuffle. I'm not doing any one-to-one sessions anymore unless you want to do if you want to do a personal intensive retreat with me. I'm doing half price right now, so they're £4,444. I'm not doing dollars anymore because I'm in pounds. I'm not in Mexico anymore, and I should have really changed it then. But £4,444, which is about, I'm not quite sure what that exchange rate is on the US dollar, but that's a half price. I'm just doing for anyone that wants to come in and do an intensive with me, which means you see me every day for 3 to 4 weeks. And it's really just to keep in alignment for 3 to 4 weeks, because when you keep in alignment for 3 to 4 weeks, that's when all the manifestations occur. So if you want to do that, I'll keep this open. I'll keep that open for a week, but that's it. Then there's no way to see me again for one-to-ones unless you've booked that. I'm not doing one-to-ones anymore. It's first notice. Because I'm moving into the High Council of 13. So the High Council of 13 is the service council that I'm going to be hosting on this channel from now on. And I'm looking for the rest of the council members. I think a lot of you are here. And I'm going to be hosting that, and it's a service council. So we're all in service. When I first started this channel, it was called Psychic Consultants, because that's what I wanted to do, is host other people. So this is your opportunity to have what you need to say or not broadcast and in your service. So I know there's lots of powerful intuitives and people that want to kind of do this sort of thing, or have just people that I've worked with previously that I know have incredible gifts to share and that do something different to what I do. Or it doesn't mean you have to do something different. Operate from a different perspective or different channel, just a different channel for reality, truth, the highest possible reality and truth in service to all. So that is the shift that's happening. So if you want to be part of that council, I'll put that link in. And that's it. That's all it's going to be. We'll connect. We'll have constant WhatsApp connection. So it'll be a council of 13. We'll have constant communication, and then we'll meet every week on a Sunday, and then that will be uploaded to this channel. So we're going to have our kind of like temple session every Sunday, and we will upload that temple session. So if you want to join in downloading together, because we're more powerful as a collective, as a team, than we are individually, every Sunday in service. It's about in service. It's not about what you get, but what I will tell you is when you go into this high vibration space and you are part of the High Council of 13, that is going to feed you. That is going to keep you in alignment. That's incredibly valuable, because whenever we serve doing what we're supposed to be doing, that's when we get what we need. But really it's about alignment. It's really just about alignment and flow and fun. So that's that. So to get those things out of the way, if you want to do an intensive with me, because 21 to 30 days, that's how long it takes you to stay in alignment to actually really see change. And you have access to me 24/7, so you can have all of that support. this is the last chance. Like, you got a week to do that. That's the last chance. And then I'm not doing any more one-to-ones. I'm only doing the High Council of 13. We're going to be in service, and we're going to do it here on this channel, and that's that. I might do some other energetic work, but that potentially will come later. But I'm not going to be seeing anyone one-to-one because it's just not, it's not the highest service, you know? So, and then the High Council of 13. And I'll probably change the name of the channel to the High Council of 13. You know, maybe led by me, I don't know. So we know exactly what it is, but that's what it's going to be. And I'm looking for my High Council of 13. If it resonates with you, if you think it's you, I will put those 2 links on. You can see me. It's only going to be for a week. If you want to do an intensive with me, this is your last chance. It's the only way you're going to be able to see me for one-to-ones. I'm not doing them anymore. Or if you feel like you're a high priestess and you got to join together with the other high priestesses or high priests, and you want to, you know that this is the thing that you've been looking for, where you gather with others that are in the same vibration as you and in the same alignment and the same reality, which is the highest, best reality of love and truth and awareness and just what I call reality. You want to hang and you want to flow and you want to serve there. I mean, I don't know why this didn't happen sooner, but it's just the time. And we're going to see what the messages are. These messages, you know, if you're watching this, these are the highest possible messages available. You know that. So, you know, you're in the right place at the right time. If you're watching this, that's the biggest sign of alignment there could be. We know the score. Right. 1, 2, 3, and it's a 1 and a 3 and a 2. Where are we? What's going on? Oh, yay! Of course, unconditional love, the Ace of Cups. We know what we're doing, like I just said. There's been a lot this week around, you know, we don't really have the language for this stuff, but what I'm calling the quantum space, but it's just, you know, slightly different dimension around really where unconditional love flows. We'll call it the flow state, but, you know, it doesn't hang around long enough in space and time to be physical. It cannot be slowed down. The vibration cannot be slowed down enough to make it physical. The density, right? This is really speaking of that energy. But it's here on this card, so it is physical. It's unconditional love. It's really what's kind of fascinating is the Jesus, not Mary Magdalene, that's not her name, but the Jesus Miriam, whatever her name is, story, that has really come back into the fold this week. And this was the story that first kicked off this channel more than 10 years ago. And this is what this Ace of Cups really represents, is this flow of unconditional love. It's also about peace. It's about enlightenment. It's about the lilies, you know, it's about Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. It's about your heart and the chambers of the heart being open, that you are, it's about the sort of, I'm sure it's fine if I mention this, but the kind of Greg Braden stuff about how the heart is, you know, how each individual heart is like an energy center for love, through electricity, through magnetism, through, you know, physical reality. And this is what this is really speaking of and manifesting, is that, you know, you were here to manifest as unconditional love, and it's all already done. Like, your heart is open, it's flowing. This divine love is, well, really unconditional love is all that it is. It's love that has no conditions. It just is. It is isness. It is being. This is already done. It's flowing. There's nothing to do now but serve. Like, if you're here coming, looking for something that is missing in your life, that the only thing left is your service. There's nothing else for you to do but serve. So, and in that service, which I call service to all, you get served. You get your highest, best, most intense and peaceful at the same time life. You know, it's like when, you know, a car or a plane or something's going really, really fast, but it's serene. That's what you get. That's all that's left now. Right, let's see the rest of it. Let's do the temple, north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. Itchy nose, Ace of Cups in the middle. So yeah, we got to get going. This is about really getting going when you flow who you really are. And this is really speaking to the two things that I'm doing right now that I'm calling out. I'm just calling out to you because it's like, this is to hold the space for you to achieve this, because this is what it's all about. It's about everything I just said about this, flowing it, but also taking the action and doing it. Working, so to speak, but it's not work that you suffer in. It's work that you enjoy. It's physical manifestation, building, creating a life that is full of, makes your heart sing. That's the best way I can say it. In service to you and in service to all and others, with no preconceived ideas about how that should be or what that should manifest, because it happens in the moment. The only thing that you want to focus on is alignment with your own heart. Your heart is, I can't find the word, like a receiver, is a receiver. Yeah, it's a receiver. But it's not really just a receiver. It's like a, I don't want to say a lighthouse, but like it's a love generator. It's a generator. They're basically, so it's like there's a love generator within you. And as long as that's active and flowing, then the action kind of happens naturally and you kind of do it. So, but you do need to take that action. This is kind of why I'm inviting you to take action. It doesn't have to be with me and work with me, but it's about, okay, I've got to go and take that action, whatever that is, to fulfill my destiny in service to all. What am I building? What legacy am I creating? What legacy are you creating? Because you do need to take action, and it is about investing its time and effort. It is, the pentacles do represent money, and money is involved in that. But it's more time and effort that it's speaking to. Really putting the time and the effort in, and the precision, being precise about what you want to build and the world you want to build. Investing in the things that build the world that you want it to be. That's so important. Second card, justice. Very interesting. There's been a lot of injustice in the world. There's been a lot of injustice in your life. It has not been fair for us. I know I have a friend, she calls us light workers or whatever. There's a lot of people that kind of speak in those terms. They're not the terms that I use, but injustice has been a very active kind of, like, it hasn't been fair. And I've experienced that with the hundreds of people that I've worked with, over the past 11 to 14 years, that it's just not fair that the best people putting in the best effort in this kind of love space have had the most awful outcomes. But this is saying no longer, especially if you put time and effort into the things that you want, and you're building that world that you want, which you can just commit to it and it will happen. Only your highest possible, the highest and best. Only invest in the highest and best. Then that justice will exist. You can't get justice in the low vibration of there was a ridiculous lawsuit that went on in this country, in the UK, where it was two wives of footballers, and basically there was this, one of them said, and I'm going to misquote because I misquote everything, don't I? But basically they said that if you argue with a pigeon, one of them said this, that if you argue with a pigeon, you're going to get the excrement of the pigeon in your hair. And this is basically what came to my mind explaining this justice thing. If you go into a situation where you're trying to find justice or fairness, where the game is so low vibe and rigged, essentially, in a different way, it's not your game to play. So basically, if you try to win a game that's not your game to play, you cannot win it. You have no power there, and it's going to feel unjust, and you're going to feel like injustice is what's happening in your life. When we elevate into this highest possible dimension, and it's here now, ready for us to live, I promise you, like, it's so done, like, it's so easy now. I mean, it's not easy to kind of get there, but it's simple, like, it's it's accessible is really what I want to say. It hasn't been accessible. It's accessible now. When you invest in that, take that time and go, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to invest. It's like investing in me is part of that. That's why I'm inviting it. It's so important. And there's people that I've worked with that I'm like, if you just invest in, because it's yourself, because I'm just a mirror and a channel for you, right? If you invest in your higher self, so to speak, your highest possible self, and you only invest in that self, it is inevitable right now, because on the micro, which is you, and the macro, which is the world, it's all in alignment. It's inevitable that you will get justice. It's saying your work will pay off for the first time, because everything is in alignment, the inside with the self. Because I've always spoken and taught that it's 50-50. It's 50% what you can do and 50% outside forces which you can't control. When it comes to free will, you have 100% control over 50%. 100% of the time it works 60% of the time. No, 100% of the time it works 50% of the time. I don't know. I can't help it, can I? You only have 100% control over 50%, because 50% is the weather, right? So, but now the messaging around that is it's all in alignment. So the weather is good, and you're good. So if you get to 100% alignment now, it's going to be reflected 100% outside of you in the collective. This is for everything you could possibly want to achieve. The relationships, the wealth, whatever it is, the service is what I keep getting. It's like the business you want to do. This is kind of what I'm aware that I'm trying to create too, is like create access to other people with other insight that we can join together and create something way more powerful. This is about finding those connection points. I'm hosting a space for just 13 people that I'm going to be looking for. I don't know how long it's going to take to find them, but I know there are 13 seats. And so it's a portal, it's an opening, it's a powerful portal, high vibration portal. That's what's happening right now. You got to find your people, invest in and build your temple. And maybe that temple is here with me, but I don't know. It could be anywhere. I think for a lot of you, it is here with me. So, we're building that temple, but it's just about investing every day, every single moment, the time, the effort, the attention goes into your highest possible self, not necessarily the highest possible outcomes, because we don't always know what they are, but the highest possible self in this flow with your heart that knows the truth, right? It is about partnership. It is about creating together. It's speaking of partnership or sovereignty. This is about you having complete control over the world you want to build, but you do need support. You do need someone else to stand with you. It's not about being alone anymore. It is about partnership. You're not supposed to be alone. You're supposed to be sharing with other people. This isn't about you being alone in your high vibration and then having a sort of separate life that is not a reflection of who you really are. That's not what it's about anymore for anybody. And it is about building a world that is from unconditional love, from that heart that I was speaking of. The next card we have is this Five of Swords, which is a bit interesting because it's looking at this. This is a very simple message. It's basically saying that there's some fear around the power of manifestation, the power of your heart manifesting its truest desire. I mean, this makes sense. And this has been the barrier with anybody, which is why a lot of people don't really want to do these intensives that I'm doing, is because we are way, way, way more afraid of our power and who we are in our power than we are in our, I want to say weakness, but like in our disconnection. We're much more afraid of, in general, of who we are when it's magical, me included. What I would say is when you're with other people, it doesn't feel so insane. This is about manifesting this dream, like magic and miracles and wishes and dreams coming true like that. And this is kind of speaking to, but who will I be? Who will I hurt? Like it's a fear. It's really speaking of guilt. Like if I win, other people have to lose. It's a 5. It's about winning and losing and duality and all this kind of stuff. But it's not. I'm not going to say that's not true. It is true, but it's basically saying if you're a lion in the Serengeti and you kill a deer to feed your family, to feed your cubs, you, or a lioness, you don't feel guilt around that. And I'm not saying you have to go and do anything horrendous, but basically, it's not our job to police God, life, in that we shouldn't behave the way we're behaving. But there is a caveat to this. This is only if you are in alignment with the unconditional love in your heart. So it's not that unconditional love sometimes feels like it hurts, right? Because what we need isn't always what we want. So this is kind of speaking to this. This only works if you're allowing yourself to be an instrument of God, love, all that is the truth. Then this is the hardest part, I think, that people can be a barrier to you literally living a life of miracles and magic, which is the life that I want for you, which is who you really are, is that, but someone's going to suffer. Not someone's going to suffer. Like, someone is not going to be able to do this. So it's like that Marianne Williamson quote about, our brightness being the barrier to our God selves, as I would call it, because we're afraid of other people, even just when we can perform miracles. Look at this kind of Jesus story where he gets martyred, because who is he to say that he is the son of God, right? Or he is God because he can do these things, or he can access this sort of stuff. This is kind of what this is speaking to. It's like, well, I'm afraid that even if I win, because it is victory, that I'm going to have to deal with this fallout of me actually being able to manifest anything I could possibly desire. It's like, who do you become when you can manifest anything you possibly desire? This is why people hold themselves apart from wealth a lot, because they don't want to. There's a couple of things. People do have a distance between their value, and that is a big barrier. But there's also a barrier, like there's a distance between perceived value from the outside and how they feel within. But the other thing is, it's like resources. When you have all the resources in the world, that magnifies your desires. And if your desires are potentially not in alignment, we can be afraid. We know inside that we will potentially use those resources to do things that aren't really in service to all. And so we kind of like push it away. We also push it away because we just feel it can feel very out of control when you're moving really, really fast. And there's an ultimate surrender. And the reason why I'm kind of going on about this and talking about it in lots of different ways is because this is a very powerful energy, this kind of like, I can manifest anything. This is what is kind of like, I feel like the messaging is trying to drag you into alignment with, you can have anything you want. And you don't need to be afraid of the version of you that has everything that you want, because there's some sort of like fallout from that's kind of attached to it. Like, okay, so then this person's going to get upset, even if it's not that conscious. And I will say that how it even manifests in the kind of very basic way is because other people don't know how to do it. That can make them feel less than. So just you performing superhuman, just having everything you want, it can trigger this kind of, I don't have everything I want, and that's not fairness from others. And there's this kind of illusion that in order for us all to be equal, we should all be the same and have the same. And that's, again, another thing that's potentially holding you from your highest, and I'll say the light workers, it's holding the light workers away from their highest possible manifestations, because there's this kind of like idea that we should all be the same and we shouldn't put our head above the parapet. We shouldn't lead. We shouldn't be the one that has all this stuff. And because people try to tear us down, and that is true, but the messaging around that is, if you just keep manifesting it and you stay in alignment with your heart and your God self, it's kind of irrelevant. And also there's a collective thing here where it's like, we're going to be in it together now. So just kind of come here, like just play in this vibration and this magical space, because we're all going there. And you don't want to miss out. don't miss out. Knight of Pentacles, it brings in the resources. It's really coming into you. There's something about receiving and being open to receiving from all directions. But it does come down to you allowing your heart to be the map, not the map, the guidance, the GPS system for your life. And kind of a lot of the time not really knowing where you're going, but just feeling like you're on the right path. That's how you manifest it. That's when you get paid, so to speak, as I say, like the physical circumstances that are required for your service, for you to be your true highest service self, your highest high priestess, high priest self, all the resources you need just come. But you've got to know and allow this high vibration, magical wish, your dream to come true and your wish to come true, and really, really focus on that. You've got to, the north is this and the south is this. You've got to be building from this, from the dream, from what I call reality, which is the highest possible state. You only make decisions from that state. I only make decisions from that state. Does this mean that my life is extremely challenging? Yes, it does. Because there's quite often a massive gap between the decisions I'm making in the highest possible reality and everybody else not being there. So, and including me, because there's a gap between where I'm living and everybody else is. And that can be extremely difficult to deal with, because it's almost like you're dealing with the gap, right? And that can be emotionally challenging, and it is. But that doesn't mean you don't do it, because kind of the messaging around it now is like, just this is when it's going to start working. Like the gap between what a lot of people call the 5D and the 3D, but for me it's way beyond that. The kind of like most magical flowing vibration dimension, and kind of like what people call like the heavy dense stuff, they're completely this one and the same now. It's happening over the next few months, and we're going to be sherpering this through the High Council of 13. We're sherpering this through. So if you feel like that's what part of what you're doing right now, and if you're running a business or doing something doing this sort of work, this is kind of like what this is about. Is we're joining together so that we can essentially do it faster, be in the state faster. It's about maintaining that state, maintaining that access to your heart's true vibration, the best way that I can explain it. And it's the resources are coming to meet you there. King of Swords, again, is communication. It's also the sense, the understanding. There's a kind of craziness to this, right? Just make a wish and it will come true, magic, whatever, just kind of like magic and miracles seems kind of crazy, unless we put it in a religious structure, and therefore then it's okay. But it's because everybody else is kind of believing it. This King of Swords maybe is speaking to that. Like if we can get everybody on board and we're all believing it together and observing the reality of how things are manifesting in this magical way, that really makes us the sane ones, and everybody else the crazy ones for not believing. And we can call this love. So it's like we're operating from love, we're operating from our heart, being this kind of generator, but also this kind of receiver and generator of this vibration of love. We take action from here. We really do it. We believe. We act in faith. Pure faith. You've got to take action in faith. That's it. There's no sense to it, but the sense comes afterwards. And in this masculine energy, King of Swords, and then the King of Cups. And this King of Cups has been coming up a couple of times. It's the genuine, divine, masculine. His heart is open. He is able and very, very advanced in flowing from his heart, without any ego BS and fear and all this kind of stuff. Like it's all being lifted off. This is the absolute completion of now we live from unconditional love. It's the most important message. It's so important. But then it's kind of like, what now? This is about embodiment. How are we going to embody it? You got to like I said, this is why I'm guided and moved to do this work, where it's like, you've got to just stay in alignment, have somebody like me on your back that's just channeling you, the reality for you, every single day, touching it so that you manifest the life of your dreams, for, you know, your highest possible best life. That, or you move into that service state, you know, it's all about alignment, accessing those highest vibrational manifestations, but completely embodied, like it's here are the results, it's about having the results. It's not about it being this other place where love can exist. This is about love winning. Love's already won. It won a long time ago, but this is about it manifesting. But you do have to commit to it. You have to commit your entire life to it. You have to. This is kind of like an invitation for you to only live in this love space. That's where you live. There's nothing else happening. You're not committed to anything apart from this. And if you could join me here, honestly, I would really, really appreciate it. I don't want to be alone anymore, you know, in this space. I understand that few people can meet me, and there are people that do and have met me, and you know who you are. But like, it's time for us to get going, you know, like it's so that we can serve together and fly together and love together, and really just about having fun now in this manifested reality of wonder. That's what it's about. But you have to commit to it. You have to commit to yourself. And that's so strange to me, but because I understand why it's strange to me, because this is my job, because I was born to do this and hold this reality where essentially your spiritual self and your physical self is one. Because in my astrology, my Vedic astrology, is that it's a very rare alignment where I am one thing. My spiritual self and my physical self is fused, which is why I can do this and speak this. It's not because I'm special in any way. It's that, but it is rare, right? So it's why there's a teaching aspect or an embodiment aspect or a reality aspect of embodiment here, because it literally is part of my destiny. And so the vibration that's held here is that, as I hold that vibration for you, where your spiritual self, so to speak, and your physical self, or your ego self, or your, you know, or your public self, your social self, all of those selves are completely fused and aligned with your spiritual self, which is the one that is completely free and lives in love and came here to play with no struggle, no problem, like none of that. That's not, you know, why you came here. This is not about working and suffering and having life not go your way anymore. This is about everything going your way. You know. One more. Go. I mean, come on. Ooh, I want to bring this back. I don't know why I made that funny noise, but I just felt this glorious. It's about the feminine. Well, I got so excited because this is such a feminine card, and it's about women, and it's about us winning. It's about the women coming together and having, you know, in our Garden of Eden, and which includes men, includes, you know, everybody, but it's us living in this rich world of wonder, of divine, of gorgeousness and everything. The manifested world being us draped in decadence and wonder and beauty, and you being a queen of reality, and the reality reflecting your beauty and your love and your heart and your highest possible joy, and that it's easy, it's just surrounded. There's incredible wealth in every single aspect of embodiment, that there's a wealth of you, that you are expanded, and life manifests and reflects in its manifestations your wealth, your value, that life finally is responding, and you are surrounded by your true value. This hasn't been the way, but it is now. And this is really what it's about. But it does, this is the 9, and this is the 8. The 9 comes after the 8. The 8 is about making a commitment to building that every day. It's so important. It's so important. It's got to be constant and consistent. We never achieve, you know, if you genuinely want to achieve heaven on earth for yourself and others, like where you're and this includes the relationships, this includes these high love, divine love relationships, that every single one of your relationships is in alignment and exactly how it should be. If you want that, it does take commitment. And I mean 24/7 commitment. You can't just play the games. Going back to, you can't go into the games that everybody else is playing, whether that be a job or a relationship or a friendship or anything where you're not being yourself, where your heart isn't calling the shots. A lot of that is sort of like collective agreements, like 100% this has the capacity to kind of like rip your life apart, but that tower isn't here anymore. Like that tower is kind of done. Whatever's happening now and kind of like might be reflected back to you now, and the narrative has already happened. So this is about you acting, you creating what you want. And it is about investing all of your resources in this. And the tricky part of that, like I said, is we don't always know what that is. So all we have to do is find our heart. All you have to do is find your heart and make decisions from that. And sometimes it's scary. Like, honestly, it's terrifying every time I come on here, because this is the truest, most authentic expression of my heart, and a lot of people might judge that and not think that that is what it is. I know most people here completely get it, or everyone here right now gets it, but it's just speaking from my heart. I speak from my heart as this kind of like connection point to the power of love that is what we all are and connects us all, unique in myself speaking. And that's why you recognize it. There's risk involved in that intense vulnerability, but I promise you that that's where heaven lives. That's where heaven manifests. And heaven is kind of even more glorious than you could possibly imagine. But what's so beautiful about the way I'm experiencing it now is that we're together. And this really is about the feminine being, again, like I was saying, reflected, her environment being reflected, her value being reflected in her environment, your value being reflected in your environment. That is what occurs when you really start only investing in the life that you want and doing that from your heart. Only. Nothing else is happening. You can't get distracted by absolute BS outside. Only love. If you have children, that's where it is. If you have unconditional love relationship, that's where it is. If you have incredible bliss experiences in meditation, that's where it is. If you have experiences like this in nature, that's where it is. It's powerful expansion, alignment, yes, flow, all of that. Only investing in those things. And that doesn't mean you have to be separate and away from life. You're in life. That's what this is about, embodying it. But you do have to commit to it. You have to commit to it no matter what. And hold that as your integrity. And this is the payoff, right? If you can invest in that, you invest in that self that is here with me now. You invest in this self that you are now, right now in this moment. That's what you get. If you only take action and build from that self, this is the life that you get. It's inevitable and it's quick. This is the 8, this is the 9, it's here. There's no lag anymore. There's just no lag anymore. It's different. That's why we're not even, we're moving on to the next level of service together, right? And who knows what's going to happen next week. But I think we're done. And so, if you some people might want to like get up to speed, like I'm saying, I'll leave it for a week. It's like, if you want to come and do an intensive with me and see, you want to commit to embodying your heart, because it's inevitable if you just keep being this self. Really, what I want to say, if you want to commit to the self that's listening here now, right? And you want to be that self all the time, which is, I understand, a really big ask, right? I get it. If you want to commit to that, I'm here to, I can do that. Like I'm have the capacity to create that with you, right? Um, A. Other thing, High Council of 13, because there, I know there's loads of you that are already there. You know, you're already there, you're doing it, but it's like, okay, where are we going? We're going next level. I don't know what's going to happen. We're creating a portal, we're opening a portal. I'm excited about it. My job is to hold the space. And I'm excited about that. You know, I'm the master key that unlocks the doors to all the universes, but you're the kind of universes, you know. So that's kind of what that's about. I'm just hosting it. I'm just hosting your magnificence, you know. Um, so if that's something you want to start playing with and you really understand service, which is that you serve, you flow, you serve, you're a goddess priestess, and you allow life to love you back because you give so much just by being and flowing and speaking from your heart. That's what that's about. Like I said, it could be here, it could be with me, could be elsewhere, but that's the next level that you are going to if you answer the call, right? And that's it, we're done. So thank you very much. That was very easy. So thank you, because that only happens when you're open and your hearts and your eyes and your ears are open. And I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you next week for the first session of the High Council of 13. So I'm excited for that. I don't know who that's going to be, what's that going to be, how that's going to manifest, but that's going to be really fun. So make sure, I know everyone bangs on about this, but honestly, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you do the bell. Make sure you're vibrationally open to this. Make sure you do whatever you need to do to be here for that next Sunday. It's not going to be live. It's going to be recorded. Maybe we'll end up doing it live, but really, you know, it's for the council to have their session together. And then it's going to be, whatever happens there is going to be made available. And that's our service to you, you know? So we'll see you next week for that. Lots of love. Namaste. Namasko. See you next week.